We are back. I am never been more excited to say that than I am saying that right now. Just thank you. We took a few months off, and there's this little thing out there called Clubhouse, and hopefully our time off lets you know that we truly just wanted to serve and help dealers, because in my little mind I figured Clubhouse gives you a format to have people talk back without chatting, and gosh, I won't mention any names, but ladies and gentlemen, just overwhelmed with emails. Some sweet lady called me from out west and said, emailed and said, hey, where'd you go? I've got a whole notebook. I'm the only person in my BDC, and I've got a whole Tim Talks notebook. And I was taking these things, and just many others, just absolutely humbled, but truly just want to do the right thing in serving you. No sales pitches, just truly serving you. As you know, we started Tim Talks during the pandemic, as so many of us were scrambling, wanting to know what to do. And that's how it started. And I just want to thank you as gosh, I think Holly Ann said over 600 of you have signed up for the weekly dialogue in Tim Talks. We're going to do something different. We're going to start shooting these, making it open to everyone, and then we're going to start dropping them. We've joined, Kevin and I are often on a Clubhouse room called Modern Day Car Sales, first thing in the morning at 6:45 Eastern. That runs until probably about 9 or so. Pandemic of Positivity with David Long and Kyle and the great stuff there. So we want to just continue that conversation. So first of all, listen, thank you. It feels so good to be back in this chair, as we are going to try to continue to serve you. As we always say, it's been a while since I said it. No one's smarter than everyone, so let's get better together. So with that, I have the privilege to introduce who has become one of my dear friends. Not only is he a good car guy, he's just a great human being. We share some of the same friends. He's been in Atlanta for me. If you're in Atlanta, you can't be in Atlanta. So not yet, Kevin, but you can't be in Atlanta and not know Kevin Deutsch. You just can't. Ran the amazing Mercedes-Benz of Buckhead for many years. Many young pre-owned managers shadowed Kevin in the lane. We had to swoosh him off because everybody knew if Kevin was on a car, buying a car, you might want to buy that car. But Kevin has been one of the brightest and influential people, quite frankly, on Clubhouse in the last couple months. And there's several things that he's unpacked there or said there that I really, you can't really take the time to really unpack. And we want to take a deeper dive today. And just a little background, he's now the general manager at Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. And let me tell you, folks, I live in Atlanta. I live 15, 20 minutes from that dealership. When Kevin took that dealership over, it's easy to come on and say how great your processes are on Clubhouse or Facebook and everything else. But it's totally different to go into a store that was truly broken. I believe this store was doing 30 or 40 every single month, and not every month, depending on inventory, as we are all having inventory problems, has hit 300 on occasion. So I want to say that again. So 30 to 40 to on occasion with the right inventory, almost 300. And he has just a fabulous leader. So that's a pretty big introduction. But Kevin, welcome to the first Tim Talks back. That's kind of a big deal. So welcome, my friend.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Awesome, brother. And let's just dive right into it. Something you said, the title of this Tim Talk is, it's time to go beyond what you think works for your dealership. So one of the things that I know, because I know that store so well, as I live close to it, one of the things that you did, let's tell, how do you go into a store for starters and that's that broken? And, I know I'll just speak for you. You put your own cell phone number on your business card. Just explain several of the things that you did with your manager's cards and all that other stuff. Explain what you did to change the culture of that dealership.
Well, it was obviously a broken dealership, and people drove past it. If you know Atlanta, there's five Lexus stores in Atlanta, and 4 are north of I-20 and this one. And people from Peachtree City and Noonan and Fayetteville. They all would drive right past the store, drive 45 minutes up to Smyrna or Buckhead, Peachtree Industrial, and they would go buy a Lexus. So the units in operation down here were plentiful, but they weren't buying them or servicing them here. And it was due to bad experiences. So we had to put ourselves out there. And we just started with a rebrand in the very beginning. I pulled all the managers into a room and took their business cards away. And every business card, including mine, only said manager. And I said, anything you see, you own. And parts manager looked at me funny and he goes, well, I don't know anything about sales. And service manager looked at me funny. He goes, well, I don't know anything about sales. And same thing happened across the board. And so we started teaching people about parts and service and sales. But the biggest thing was taking care of customers. It's just, if you see something, own it, take care of a customer. Pretty much it didn't matter what it cost. We needed to take care of the customer and fix the problem and get people back in the door. Once we got that across to everybody, we reached out to our database, which was close to 20,000 people, and I sent them a letter and put my personal cell number on there and introduced myself and my group and let them know that the store had changed and invited everyone by to meet me personally. And I got some pretty nasty phone calls from drunk people on Sunday night at 11 o'clock, and the phone rang and it rang and it rang and until it didn't ring anymore. And, it's funny, just last week, a customer brought that letter in and bought a car. And they said, I saved this. And it was just basically a letter giving them our information and who we were and that we were here to serve.
Well, you talk about serving, just give us an example of that. Obviously the market is a little crazy, but give an example of some things that you did. Because listen, I got to tell you, I know there were some people that just wouldn't go there. And I looked, I had the privilege, and we're going to get into that in a second, but I looked at, where people were buying cars from you. And not only were they buying in the Peachtree City areas and Noonan areas and others that they wouldn't, but you were selling because you've really expanded your footprint. You're selling into, Auburn and into, Macon, which is, an hour plus south, so what are you doing? I mean, it's easy to say, but give me an example of some of the things that you are doing to change that experience. It's easy to talk about, but just give us a little nugget on what that means and what that looks like.
Well, I think we had to embrace, and we really did embrace the digital selling world, probably before everybody else did.
Yeah, you did.
I completely understand that people are looking, if you're shopping online, you're looking for transparency. And we wanted to talk to them the way they wanted to be talked to, not talk to them the way we wanted to be talked to. So we had to be open up to everybody. We had to identify them. We had to be transparent. In the beginning, our gross was bad. We had to learn how to sell cars, and then we had to learn how to sell cars with gross. It's funny. We did it the first year pretty much with the team that we inherited.
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted to come to work here, and everybody said, man, you're crazy. I can't believe you took that job.
I remember that.
And then a year later, my phone would ring and a good person would call me, and then another talented person would call me. And then we've been here for 3 years with zero turnover in our management team. And in 3 years, we've flipped, we've only grown our sales staff. We've only lost two. One person retired and another person we retired. So we've completely stabilized the dealership. And you have to be culturally part of who we are, or we're not going to do it. I hold a meeting, and the biggest problem with dealerships I found was communication.
Yeah.
And nobody really gets communicated to well in a dealership. You think that it goes from manager to manager to manager, and it really doesn't. So once a month, the first Friday of every month, we had from 12 to 12:15, every employee stops what they're doing. We go back to the service department, and we all get in a circle, and we have a entire dealership meeting where we recognize anniversaries, birthdays, accomplishments. We talk about what we've succeeded at. We talk about what we failed at. And we close every meeting with why we're in a circle is for everyone to look across the room from each other. And that person came to work for your family today the same way you came to work for their family. And all 125 of us is a family. And we built a culture here to where we are together. When we have events, you'll see cleanup people sitting with sales managers having lunch or dinner. We go to the Christmas party and we see literally service advisors and salesmen sitting together. And again, sales managers, it doesn't matter. You can't tell who's who in the dealership. And that's what I was looking to do.
That's great. You said something on Clubhouse one time that I want to unpack a little bit. You said, I didn't need a service writer, so I hired one. I didn't need a salesperson. So when you're talking about scaling, so young sales managers, young general sales managers, young general managers, I want you to listen in and tune in for just a second. You said, and I want you to elaborate, I didn't need a service advisor, so I hired one. I didn't need another salesman, so I hired one. So can you unpack that a little bit for us? Because obviously to go from 30, 40 cars a month, broken store, how do you get, not every month, but sometimes 300, consistently well over 200, how do you know that and measure that growth? Because we've had conversations, I want 7 guys doing 20, all this other stuff. So can you explain that to us a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. As a growing dealer, I never want to underserve my customer. And when you stretch people thin, whether it's an advisor, and they look at you and you say, I don't have time to call a customer back, or I didn't have time to call a customer back, or I had too many walk-ins today on top of my appointments. So when you're scaled right, it's time to hire, because my intent is to continue to grow the dealership. So the worst time in the world to hire is when you have to hire somebody. Let's hire somebody when you find the right person, get them in place. And it's amazing how freeing everybody else, they never go backwards, they go forward. They appreciate you alleviating that pressure from them. And when we get to where I don't need another one, I'm going to hire another one, because that's how you grow, is you just cannot take care of the customers properly if you are always behind.
Wow. And something that I really want to show, and as you prepare to share your screen, something, guys, that I've seen, and I have the privilege to, look, I know most people listening were far better car guys, far better PO managers, far better desk managers than I ever was. I don't sit behind this camera and try to tell you that I've got all the answers. What I do love to communicate with you is finding best practices from all. The great thing about what we do, and what now I have the privilege to do, is listening to the best minds in the space, and finding out what's actually working. And when we find something that is working, I hope this can help you today. I was fascinated. I wish someone would have showed it to me when I was behind the desk. I was fascinated when I think it was pre-COVID, a couple years ago. I sat in Kevin's office, and he's like, I know everything that goes on in my dealership. Now, of course, a lot of general managers say that, but they don't, right? And I know everything's going on in my dealership. In fact, all my managers know everything that's going. I know every up, I know every appraisal, I know everything that's happening. And he said, quite frankly, I can get my job done. Now, I want you, listen up, young people. I'm telling you, this is going to help you today. I can get my job done in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I know everything, and then I can go love on my people, everything in the morning. So I'm going to shut up right now. Kevin, I'm going to allow you to share your screen. And and this is something that Kevin, I wish I could create this and digitize this, and maybe that's coming. But, I just want you to explain to young and old guys that maybe have been doing it the same way. And obviously this is a part of them. And again, these are, you created dummy sheets, the monster growths that I won't share with anybody based on the experience that you're providing at your dealership group. But I just want you, if you don't mind, share your screen. As we've talked about it on Clubhouse many times, I wanted people on Clubhouse, modern day car sales, pandemic of positivity. I wanted them to physically see what you're talking about. So Kevin, share your screen and take us from there.
Yeah, let me preface this first. I am super dyslexic, so I have to come up with ways where I can deal with my own problems. And I was not a good GM in the beginning, and I've been a GM since I was 28 to 30 years old. I've been a long, long time, over 30 years, and I had to grow into it. So I had to find a way to do things. So I started with a sheet that turned into 2 sheets or 3 sheets or 4 sheets. And people go, that is so repetitive. And I go, it absolutely is, but it has to be, so I get it. Because someone taught me one time, a long time ago, They said, if you think you know something, you don't. If you know something, then you know it. So I know what my stuff is because I have a process that I do 7 days a week every morning, whether I'm in the dealership or out of the dealership. I do it from home on Sundays. I do it before I come to work sometimes on Saturdays, but the sheets are done and they go out to my managers every day. So my managers are learning how to run a dealership from spreadsheets, and it's based off of our information. So let me share my screen and we'll start with one right here. So this sheet right here it's pre-built. It took me an hour to build it. And the only lines I have to fill in are these lines every morning. I've got used cars and used car numbers. I put in the actual units out, total front gross, gross adjustments, plus or minus. It totals it up, F&I gross, my chargebacks. Then from there, it gives you your net F&I, your trunk money or your manufacturer's money, and your total gross. So in this case, it'd be 113 out, 240,000 in front, 7,573. And we pick up from our WIO account this time of month, your F&I gross and new cars minus chargebacks. So you're at 707, tracking 830. And over here on the left side, you can see what your forecast was. And everything just fills in, and it gives you, it goes green or red, depending if you're above forecast or behind forecast. And you've got everything. So I know that the PVR is 2128 plus the 67 for the gross adjustments. I've got a front PVR of 2195. F&I is 2798 minus chargebacks, 2521 net. My trunk money is 1543. I'm 6259 round every deal, and that's before doc. And same thing happens on used cars, 68 out at 149, wholesale gross of 34, and you click down and it fills in your totals, and you've got your numbers. So you're at 1.197, tracking 1441, tells you your gross with doc, you're at 6614 deal. So that's over, it's done. It takes me 5 minutes, but I've looked at my numbers and I know where I am according to forecast. Over on this side, you can see we've got our finance deals. New car, we know that you got finance, lease, so 113 total equal 100%. Same thing down here on used cars, 68 out, 49 were finance, 9 outside lien, 10 cash. So I know I'm at 72.06% finance. So I can hold people accountable from there. We look at days in inventory. This is something very important I measure on used cars. From the day we buy it to the day we sell it, right this month, it's 18.11 days. So your gross should be up high because you haven't reduced the price of the cars yet. And again, down here, you get the bottom part. At the very top, the CSI, I look at monthly, 90 days, and rolling 12. Every day, in order to make this work, all I have to do is hit a number. When I hit 23, it automatically goes to 3 days left out of a 26 car selling week. So everything is automated, and the setup for next month is just coming in and filling in the forecast. It's literally 5 minutes to set this up. The very bottom part of this comes from another sheet that I do not share with my sales managers daily, but it's just a cut and paste and it goes right in. So I've got my whole variable department in front of me. On here, I can tell you that my Lexus number was 70. We're tracking 134. That's 191% of our objective from the manufacturer. CPO number, objectives 34. We're tracking 40. It's 118%. Chargebacks again in new and used. Gross adjustments picking up from a WIO account. Come over here. We forecasted 100 new against a 70 objective. We're at 113, tracking 134. We forecasted 45 L certified cars. We're only tracking 40. We're behind. So it would be in red or yellow. Non-certs forecasted 15. We're tracking 15. And other makes and models. Same thing. Shows you the 80 is in red because we forecasted 85 used cars, which is right there. So everything again goes right there. here's the fun news is if we're going to sell 215, we need 8.5 a day. To sell 200, we need 475, 4.75 a day. And it just tells you every number that you're looking at. Again, the whole dealership is here. We're tracking 586,000 over forecast. And that would be just an example of a sheet right there.
Right.
The sheet that this bottom piece comes from that I don't share with my sales managers daily, and I take this information directly off my log. This is about an 8-minute sheet to fill out. Again, it's got it's repetitive with that. At the bottom, you can see my finance percentages, my CSI, and how I get to my 18.11 days, which is every sales manager. So if I've got a sales manager whose PVR is lower than somebody else's, and he's selling a bunch of aged cars, then of course it should be. I'm not beating him up. I'm telling him thank you and bringing him up. So I know that Ryan, my used car director, who's on vacation for a week, let's say he has 29 delivered at 60,000 in gross, which is a front average of 2,081, 84 in F&I, an average of 2918. Total gross is his average deals 499 versus a 3,600 forecast. Plus doc puts you right here, and his average day per sale is 20.24. So I do my used cars. You can see that 80, we're running 5 short. New cars, again, 113. The same thing with the sales managers. John's penciled 78 deals. He's my new car director at 2,032 on the front and 2,431 on the back. And then trunk money is 1,540. It's in red because we forecast 1,550. Tells me every manager's production, which then goes over to the entire dealership production. And it's just right there for me. Again, that's about a 10-minute sheet.
And where are you pulling, just real quick, you're pulling this information directly from your CRM. So you say you pull
from my log.
From your log.
Actually built a log to give me the information I want.
So who's inputting that? Is it taken directly from the CRM, or how, when you come in every day, let's say you're not there, and I know you're there about every day, but let's just say you're not there, or maybe you're in Florida, or maybe you're at your house and you're not coming in, or you're doing it early in the morning. Where are you getting those numbers? If you haven't been to the store yet, where are those numbers coming from that you're inputting into these sheets?
Yeah, as the deals come through F&I, they go on the log by the sales manager. And before we go home every night,
Is this a log that you've created? Another log that you've created that feeds into this?
This is the dealership sales log, one new and one used. And it's literally in order so I can pull these numbers instantly. It takes no time whatsoever.
Wow.
So we built because everyone keeps a dealership sales log. And it just, those numbers go on. And again, I know them. And I know where every manager is, and I know their production. This is a great example. I've got a non-producing GSM who's done 2 new car deals and no used car deals. It's right there in front of me. So I may beat them up and give them a little hard time, or get the other guys to give them a hard time to grab a deal and say, let's go, Randy, let's go do it.
Right.
So it's easy stuff that gives me all the metrics I need to operate a dealership, but it also lets the other managers learn how to operate a dealership. Everybody in the store gets reports daily where they can see what's important and what we're looking at.
You know, let's talk about that for a second. You know, I worked with Greg Sorrell 25 years ago. Let me say that again. I worked with Greg Sorrell, your parts manager, 25 years ago. I can't even, that's crazy, but I did at Evans Toyota. And, you know, the funny thing is he's been in the car business well over 30 years. And you told me that now he knows what PVR is. Now he knows what your service or your service manager knows what F&I per copy is. So explain that progression. I mean, you're big on team. You're big on the right hand knowing what the left hand is doing, and I love it. But how did you start that process, and explain that process of getting somebody like Greg to understand front end gross, F&I gross, that type of thing? So all of your managers are kind of cheerleaders for every other department instead of, you know, battling each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they all wanted to know what all these acronyms were and what was going on up front. So just by giving them the information and reviewing the information daily, whether it be in a manager's meeting or whenever we're together, we talk about these numbers, they at least now know what they're talking about, and they go look at it and they start to figure it out. There's other sheets that I'll show you, my final sheet every day, that where it all comes together.
Yeah, let's see that.
How it affects the dealership. I'll get to that. Give me just a second. We do a daily sheet, which goes out on the email. This is like this week, last year. Of course, it was COVID 2154. So we did 11 deals yesterday, which is 9 better than last year. So this is just daily. You can see $50,000 in gross ahead of last year after one day. So that goes, so everyone knows every week where they're at and what they're looking at. And then for the month, you get the total picture. And again, this sheet's a 3-minute sheet. Put in what you sold today, just put in 5, come right here, pull it down and pull that down. And all the numbers add up. It takes 2 seconds and it shows you where you're going. Last year during COVID, April was disastrous. We sold 69. This year we're tracking 221. That's an average of 5.59 deals a day better than last year. I know my average gross is $50,142 per day. So you can start looking at your gross per day, and we'll set this sheet up again, 21 versus 22. So, I mean, this goes back as long as we've owned this dealership. I've got a record of what we did on any day, and it gives me good information. So they get that to help them. Now, before we get to the final one, this is one that I did not come up with, but we kind of cleaned it up and changed it. My service director or parts director does this, and anything that's highlighted in blue, they have to fill out. It takes them about 15 minutes, but I know every metric in my parts and service department equally. So they go through it, and we know, that service is tracking 350 and parts, not 350, it's tracking 439 versus it's 350 closed out month to date versus a forecast of 391, and parts is tracking 219 versus a forecast of 181. So those numbers are there, how we got there, whether it's internal part sales, warranty part sales, retail sales, wholesale sales, it's all right here. And it makes sure that they know the numbers. So I really don't need to know all those percentages every day, but I need to know that they know them. So they looked at them every single day. So it all gets put together here. And this is a pretty neat sheet.
Is that the final sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you've got your repetitive of your CSI, but every week this is filled in. Down here, you've got your forecast numbers, 100 new cars at 750 on the front, 22 net on the back. And then here we're tracking over. So great example, just run it. If this was real, we would be 19 ups yesterday, 12 phone ups, 16 internet leads. As I go through this from e-leads, I actually look at each one because it gives me the opportunity to review each one, because I'm looking at it in e-leads, closing at 12.5% for the week in internet, which is one day. Appointments made 17, 9 showed, which is 52.9%, and 1 service drive sale. We have 26 service drive sales for the month, is what the sheet would say. Again, actual units, it tracks the weekend. We have 113 delivered, tracking 134, 2195 on the front, 2521 net on the back, with an average chargeback of 277 a unit, puts you 321 over your forecast. New units in stock 82, 10 days, 90 days old 10. Same thing on used cars. We did 5 appraisals, took in 2, 70 used cars in stock, 64 retail, for a total of 1.6 million at 25,987 per copy. If it gets under 25, that yellow goes to green. It's on a 45-day selling feature, that's a 26-day supply. And we have 2 cars that'll be 60 at the end of the month. And on June 1st, we have 12 cars that'll be 60 days old, and there's 6 wholesale units. You can pull that from vAuto. It takes 2 seconds. During that time, I look at the appraisals for today. For yesterday, it takes Again, there were 5 of them, went back through them, looked at them, see if we needed to do any changes. This simply totals it up. It does it all for you. I put in a handful of numbers. Doc calculates manufacturer's income, matches the other sheet too. 34 and other expenses, $1.25 million, making $1 million, and that's 59.2% return. But every day, every manager gets this. They know where they are. They know where their department is. They know where they are against forecast, and it brings it all home. This whole thing takes me about an hour to do. Don't laugh at me, but I do payroll sheets for the salespeople. I do it every day, and they get their pay sheets every day, and I pay them every Friday. And that's what takes the bulk of this. This whole setup right here is probably 30 minutes, and I know my dealership, and I have 0 surprises. I'm ready to go.
It's just absolutely phenomenal. I just, because I've been in the dealership, I feel the culture change. The fact that you pay your people every single week, it's like something as we're going to land the plane now. We've been watching as a company this Netflix show called Formula One, Drive to Survive, and one thing that all Formula One teams do is they all walk the track. Whether it's the engineers, the mechanical engineers, the mechanics, the pit crew, and the drivers walk the track every single race. And this is truly walking the track on a daily basis to see, not a surprise. Oh my gosh, how did I end up, 300 under forecast on my gross, but it's phenomenal. And we're going to let people know how to get a hold of you, because I know you want to help as many people as you can. I do have one last question. If you were, because look, you've been a general manager, for a long time. I'm not going to, a long time. We'll keep it a long time, since you were 28, and now I think you're 32 or 33. So, but if you were to give advice to a young desk manager or a young GSM or GM, you take your pick all the way through, knowing what you knew now. In fact, one of the famous Kevin quotes are, at this point in my career, you pay me for what I know. Right. So just as we try to help and encourage people today, go through that and try to encourage that young aspiring sales manager to be a general manager, or that young general manager. What do they need to know? What if they could come back and talk to young Kevin?
I will tell you, I was probably a wretched sales manager, because I was the guy that sold a lot of cars, and I thought I was good, and I didn't realize what I see now, and I do it every day. There's the whole aspect. It's each bit of it is a piece. You need the gross, the units, but you need to take care of your employees. I didn't love on them. I grew up in a bad time. I started this business in a Dodge store in 1982, and we call it abuse central, and that's really what it was. You were shamed into doing everything you did. But as you grow, just because you're a great salesman is not going to make you a great sales manager. And great sales managers don't always make great GSMs.
That's right.
And great GSMs don't always make great GMs. And
Yep.
Good GMs don't always make good dealers.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the statement you said earlier. If I could help anybody, I did not become a good GM until I realized that I am getting paid for my knowledge, and I'm getting paid for what I do and building a culture and building a team, rather than going out and doing everything myself. I was the guy that would go take the TO anyway. I was the guy that would go do, it didn't matter what it was. Fine, I'll do it, whether it's washing cars or doing this, just fine, let me do it. And people actually had less respect for me. When I learned how to actually become a GM is when I grew. And that's when that I could, I trust my knowledge, and then begin to build a succession plan. And when you're comfortable enough to begin to build a succession plan, and I've got 2 people I'm working on that with here. One is my service director, who will probably be first, and the other is my GSM. That's when you know that you're becoming a good GM. Not all that you can do and take the S off your chest and take the cape off and go home and let them do it. I've got 2 phenomenal kids. And people ask us all the time, man, you guys did a great job. What did you do? And I said, we raised them right, and then we respected them and we trusted they're going to make the right decisions. And it's the same thing with my dealership. I trust that they're going to do the right thing. So you have to let them do it. You can't always be there with training wheels.
I love it. And I'm going to say it again. People that have heard me on Clubhouse are probably nauseated, but it's just so true. Especially when taking over, you said it in here, it's the law of attraction, like John Maxwell says. You know, if you catch fire, the whole world will come watch you burn, and in a good way. And the store's caught fire. It's the law of attraction. You went from nobody wanting to work there to now everybody wants to work there. They're finding out what people, so that's the law of attraction. And then it's the law of duplication, being comfortable within your own self. The two biggest problem in any organization, I don't care what you're selling, especially in automotive dealerships, is insecurity and pride. And understanding and letting go and being okay with duplicating yourself and letting people do their job. Kevin, I love you, brother. Thank you so much. Tell if people want to reach out to you, they can you can reach out to me at tim@carnow.com. I'll connect you with Kevin. Kevin is one of the nicest, most knowledgeable, as you guys have all learned, GMs and just human beings in the car space, in the automotive space today. How can people reach out if they just want to chat or have a question? How would they talk to you?
Easy. You can email me at kevin@butlercars.com, or you can call me if you've got a pencil. You want to write it down at 770-527-7687. Every customer, everybody has my cell. I answer it, and I'm happy to talk to anybody. And I really appreciate you asking me to do this.
Yeah, man. And we're going to do a take two, because I want to take a little deeper dive. But usually when people see videos in Facebook and they're longer than 30 minutes, they don't, they go, oh my gosh, that's too much. But here's the great news. All of those, that's why we recorded it. We're going to drop them on Facebook. We're going to drop them on Instagram and other places. You can pause. You can say, wait a minute, what did Kevin say? Or that you could pause it on that screen, when he was going through those sheets, or maybe just a few thoughts that you wanted to hear. So again, Kevin, thank you so much. And hey, it is so good to be back live with Tim Talks. Thank you again. I was literally brought to almost tears as emails started to be coming in, because you never know if you're making a difference or not. You just you don't. And just, I'm humbled. So thank you for reaching out and saying, hey, where you go, you need to get back on the air. And that's what we're doing. So we love you for that. Thank you so much. And as always, no one is ever smarter than everyone. So let's continue to get better together. We will see you next time on Tim Talks. Thank you guys so much.